Oh no.
Hi, everybody. This is Hondo Carpenter, your Las Vegas Raiders beat writer for Sports Illustrated and the host of the Las Vegas Raiders Insider Podcast. It is great to be with all of you today to get to talk to you, to really dig in. Obviously, OTAs yesterday, we got a lot of video and stuff up for you, but now we're turning directions with Michael France. He's one of our staff writers and an NFL writer for Sports Illustrated. We're really glad to have him. This guy, Michael, how are you, buddy?
I'm great. It's a great Memorial Day weekend. I know you mentioned maybe going out to the lake later today. I'm about to do the same, and it's going to be great to talk to Raider Nation, and then everyone enjoy their weekend.
It's great. The weekend's behind us, but we're still trying to make it last a little bit longer, and nothing wrong with that. So, Michael, I want to chat with you before we get started because I always get a lot of email after you and I do a show, but I got one that I thought was really funny. And the person said to me, "Why are you busting Michael France's balls when he says we, us, they? There's nothing wrong with being a fan." To which I said to them, well, I said to the person who emailed me, Zeke Trezevan's a fan. He's been a Raider fan his whole life. But Michael hasn't. Now, if he becomes one, that's a different story. But Michael hasn't been a fan. And as a young journalist learning, I'm trying to help him. So I've got to ask you this question in front of the world. Have I in any way ever told you you can't be a fan?
Oh, no, you haven't.
But you've also told me I'm not a fan and I'm a young journalist and my job is to help you, right or wrong.
You are correct. You know that, yeah, they're pure slip ups, and I understand. I read all the YouTube comments. I see how a lot of people get fired up about it, but guys, it's not that deep. He is making me better. I wouldn't even be here without this man. So give Uncle Hondo his due. He's making me a better journalist.
And if you become one, great. I don't have an issue with that. My wife and family have in a big way. All right, Memorial Day weekend's behind us, but we're in OTAs. We're great. Um, Again, so much great stuff going on. But let's turn our direction now. And we've got another OTA coming up tomorrow. So let's just get right in. Let's talk about three players. I want you to just get ready for this now. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read your words. Three players that you and I are most excited to see in 2024. Do you want to give your three first? Do you want me to give my three?
Let's see year three. I'm intrigued.
Aiden O'Connell. Cannot wait to see what Aiden does. I don't know if he's a QB1, but I've seen enough to be intrigued, and I believe in the kid. So I do believe in him, and I'm anxious to watch what he does. Number one. And I've got four, and I can't help it. You'll understand why in a minute. The second one is Thayer Mumford. I'm excited to watch him go in. Um, the Raiders, Josh McDaniels gave him a lot of hope last year that he was going to replace Jermaine Illuminor and didn't give him a lot of support, in my opinion. And he's walking in knowing he's the guy this year. He played very well under AP. I think Thayer's going to take a monster step in 2024. The third one is Malcolm Kuntz. He showed people what he could do in the second half last year. Once the coaching change happened, he took off. Very excited. In fact, I have an article coming later this week about this. And then the last one, and I know we talked about three guys we're excited about, is a guy we've already seen what he can do. But I'm looking forward to him being given the keys to the kingdom and saying, go do your thing. Zamir White. All right, how about you?
First of all, my first guy was just like yours, Zamir White, your last guy, of course, for the same reasons. Explosive, violent runner, We've seen flashes from him with the Raiders in his time. He comes from a great running back lineage in Georgia. He's Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, just to name a few. Yeah, keys to the kingdom for sure. Obviously, Alex Madison's going to be getting carries too, and that'll be intriguing to see how they both work in the backfield because the modern NFL, you're looking at two running backs carrying the ball in a lot of these top offenses, and I think it could be a really interesting dynamic with Madison and White. But for me, White does take the cake because I think that explosion he has a little bit more potential there. My second guy. I really like Jack Jones. Arguably our best defensive back or one of them. Came
Our
in last year. Huh?
arguably our best defensive back.
I was so close. I was doing so well. I was doing
You
so
really
well.
were.
The Raiders. I really hope the comment section be nice to Hondo once again. This is just this meathead's slip ups. Jack Jones is one of the Raiders' best defensive backs. Last year, he comes in from New England and just balls out, physical corner, man coverage, zone coverage. You love the chip on the shoulder, love the way he plays the game, love the connection with Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce has seen Jack Jones, every level of his career essentially. And I think that's a special story in itself. Just see Jack Jones enough, more reps with Patrick Graham. I think it could be a really interesting thing to see in 2024. So for me, Jack Jones, but there's a lot of guys you can pick out of the defensive backfield too. Nate Hobbs could be primed for a breakout year. Jacorian Bennett's been improving throughout the building, as you mentioned. And then my third guy, rookie, Tommy Eichenberg. I think I'm just excited. I don't know what role he's going to be playing, and we don't know how many reps he's going to be getting with the Raiders. But Tommy Eichenberg is a true blue football guy. And the Raiders drafted
Tommy
him.
freaking Eichenberg.
Exactly.
Freaking.
He will play with no hands, with a smile on his face, and bring you down for a loss of 3. He is awesome. How he fits into this team, like I said, the number of snaps he gets on defense, his role, it's going to be intriguing to see. But he's good in coverage, great run stopper, just a true blue nitty gritty football guy, and that's why the Raiders took him. He's in that Robert Spillane kind of mold, and I know you've mentioned it about the Raiders maybe looking at him being another Spillane type player and Spillane mentoring him. And I just think it could be really intriguing to see what he does and how much he does in his rookie year with the Raiders. That's why he's one of the three players I'm excited to just see in the silver and black. Because also with the linebacker, it's hard to gauge where he's going to be in OTAs and camps because it's just such a physical position. You're not going to really know. So, and of course, for all positions, you're not going to know this, but especially for linebacker. So those pads are on and you're really hitting. You'll never know. So it's going to be interesting to see that.
In NFL is so different than college, and I'll explain to you how. First of all, in the college world, the coaches are really Attila the Hun. I mean, they run it, and there is no uh, they're God. In the NFL, there are so many collective bargained rules. Yes, the coach is the boss, but it's a different world. But in the NFL, these are guys playing for millions and millions of dollars. So when the physicality's turned on, it's on. And when it's off, you better not touch me. I mean, it's just a whole different world. I've had tremendous and star players tell me the biggest adjustment is always speed, but the second biggest adjustment is practice. It's just a different world. When that buzzer goes off, you just walk off the field because you're a pro. These are the collective bargain rules. We're done. And in college, it's okay. We're supposed to be done at 12:30, and it's now 1:45, and we're still grinding because coach is mad. It's a whole different world. All right. By the way, I want to give you. I'm gonna give you a mulligan for a minute on the hour. So my wife and I were eating dinner with a very well-known NFL person recently, and we're talking back and forth about stuff. And my wife's like, our this, and when we use Max, and when Aiden does this for us. And he turned to me at one point, he goes, oh, dude, she's all in. I go, I know. I know. Trust me. I see the bills. I said to her the other day, I said, I don't mind silver and black. I don't mind it. But babe, you look really good in pink and red. It's been 3 or 4 days and all I'm seeing you in is silver and black. And she's like, uh-huh. And then the other day she comes in the room to wake me up. I'm like, oh, babe, come on. So yeah, I get it, but I'm trying to help you. All right. Now, moving in a different direction. Raiders schedule comes out. I said 10-7. I give my final prediction between the end of training camp and the beginning of the regular season. What was your early observations, Michael?
Team record or just early observations of the team?
I just said I predicted 10-7. That
Okay.
what's your early observations?
Okay. I think the team could do, compete
By the
for a
way,
wild
just for a
card
minute,
spot.
for everybody listening at home, I want to just say something. You may be like, why is he busting Michael all the time? In any business, the youngest guy on the boat, the plebe, always goes through the teasing and always goes through the hazing. When we hire somebody new and he moves up the ladder of seniority, he will not get busted as much as he does now. Go ahead, young sir.
Yeah, and also for the comment section, because I know they're very defensive of me. I'm honored, by the way, but
Well, I think a lot of them are your grandmother and your mother.
I think they might be running. I think they might be having burner accounts too. Who knows? But if Ando didn't like me, I wouldn't even be on this podcast, guys. He's picking on me because he likes me. Like I'm good. I'm very secure with my position working with Uncle Hondo. Um, I think the Raiders, 10-7 is a very attainable record, give or take a win or loss. Like the late Jacksonville game, I believe you had them dropping that one. I think that one could be an interesting matchup for the Raiders late in the season. Observations early on OTAs, just how the team's meshing and the coaching staff, despite all the hype and the excitement with all this new blood with the team and all the new weapons on offense and all the potential. They're all sticking to just a very forward, blinders on. Let's just do the job and play football. We got to earn it still. It's still before the season. It's still just OTAs. Luke Getsy was saying that in his interview in regard to the running back room. We got a great running back. Speaking as him, speaking as Luke Getsy's perspective, uh, he said, the Raiders have a good running back room. Of course, Zamir White, Madison, all of them. But at the end of the day, with the running backs, guys, I mean, there's only so much you can tell. Like obvious, and he said it. He said it perfectly. Of course, running backs look great in OTAs. They're running fast, and they have the great look, and it's fun to watch. But until the season starts, and you can't really gauge that until the results are shown on the field. So the excitement's there. You see the excitement in the players and how this coaching staff has really been engaging them in what their roles are going to be. Like a Thayer Munford in his interviews this week, even answering simple questions from you about right side, left side, just the mentality of the players. You see the identity, you see the focus, the vision. Raiders fans and us media could always see in the offseason what the direction of this team was going to be with Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. But now, Raiders fans and media and everyone in the outside world is starting to kind of see it come to fruition through OTAs. And it's starting to feel more like the real thing as we get closer, and it's starting to be more actualized. And it's a really interesting thing to see with the Raiders.
I want to get your opinion because you're younger than me. I come at things maybe at an older perspective, and I respect your younger view. I respect the way you think on most issues. And you know what that was a shot at, right? You could thank the great coach Chuck Grenier. All right. Like him. and you've got an article coming on Thursday that's going to about Aiden and Gardner that I'm really looking forward to reading on the reality of the Raider quarterback room. I am so looking forward to this article. I can hardly stand it. But let's talk about Gardner because I had this gentleman, this NFL gentleman, who very respected that my wife and I were at dinner with. He and I were talking about Gardner and Aiden, and he reiterated if this guy had been a first round draft pick, no one would be questioning him. And he goes, and I asked him, I said, I'm really impressed with Gardner. And I shared with him some things that you and I discussed about Gardner that you're going to have in your article on Thursday. And he said to me, I'm impressed with Gardner, but he's also a guy that's been to several teams that have passed. So there's got to be reasons there. He goes, and you've got an Aiden who's still very young, who showed promise. And he told me, he goes, I don't think Gardner will beat him. I think Aiden's going to get the job. Regardless, do you think when you look at Aiden's past and the fact he's been with several teams, none of them really bought in, do you think that's because he hasn't had the right opportunity? Or do you think it may be a reflection of him more of a backup journeyman? What, because there's two perspectives there. What do you think?
I think it's a really interesting dynamic. The late round pedigree, unfortunately, will put the odds against a player, whether it's with the fan base, maybe perhaps whether it's with ownership. The guys in the room know what's up. Gardner Minshew came in, it's a late round pick to Jacksonville like week one. And I mean, all things considered, he did good. And he goes to Indianapolis, well, Philadelphia, and then Indianapolis. And wherever he's gone, Gardner has shown that football grit, scrappy mentality, old school, dog in me, fight for everything. Like Aiden, he's been doubted. Like Aiden, he's competed for everything he's gotten. He's got that Raiders look. I mean, can you just dream up
Yeah.
of a Raider looking quarterback with the hair and the mustache and the facial hair? Almost kind of you squint your eyes from a distance. It's like physically almost has that Kenny Stabler look with the hair coming out the back of the silver and black helmet. So, but with Gardner Minshew, you know, he's a grinder, he's a scrapper. He almost kind of reminds me of like a Baker Mayfield. And in just the term, the style of how he plays quarterback. And that's an interesting question because you wonder how much of it is fan base impacting ownership. Let's get a glossier, make a splash quarterback. Obviously, Jacksonville moves off him and gets Trevor Lawrence, who Trevor Lawrence was gonna be the first overall pick probably after that debut freshman national championship game. He was the guy. You got to make that splash pick. I get that. It's interesting. It would be interesting to see what Gardner Minshew can do with this offense, this leadership, this team where there is a belief. If Gardner Minshew wins the quarterback battle, Hondo, the Raiders are going to trust in him. It's going to mean something for him to beat out Aiden O'Connell because Aiden O'Connell does have the starting job. He has the respect of everybody in that organization. So if Gardner does win that quarterback battle, if he does win, he'll have everyone's respect. It'll be interesting to see what he could do with this Raiders offense. Luke Getsy, Antonio Pierce. He's the kind of guy the team wants. That's why they brought him in. Aiden O'Connell, I think, is being slept on. It's going to be shown in the article. Gardner Minshew has great stats, all things considered, as the article is going to show in his time playing. And man, show me where he hasn't earned a job somewhere, especially stepping in and almost taking the Indianapolis Colts a game away from the playoffs last season.
See, I take a different approach with Gardner. I don't think he's a. Everywhere he's been, he's shown enough. And you had in Jacksonville, well, we're not going to pass on Trevor Lawrence because of Gardner Minshew. In Indianapolis, that was just stupid. I'm stunned that Indy let him go. So no, I don't think this guy is a journeyman. I think he's going to get a fair shot completely. Um, I like him. I like him a lot. All right, let me ask you this question. What do you think's the identity of the Luke Getsy offense?
The Luke Getsy Raiders offense is going to be really interesting because obviously Antonio Pierce wants to go vertical. And the Raiders have a good trio of receivers: Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, Trey Tucker. And obviously the Raiders now have two two high potential receiving tight ends in Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers. So there's going to be the passing element there. You could spread it out. You could have a 12-man set. I think the Raiders offense, the way it is built now, especially with the running back room, the offensive line, and obviously it's all on paper right now, but everything points to an offense that should be built to thrive, at the very least in the red zone. You also got to factor in Harrison Bryant too. Is not just a blocking tight end for coming around the edge, but I mean Harrison Bryant's bread and butter was getting open in the red zone as well.
Don't
So I
forget
think
Cole
this Raiders
Fotheringham.
offense,
They've got 4 NFL tight ends, man. 4 legit tight ends.
it's like the quarterback situation, but obviously there's more spots available for a tight end. But whoever that top three, four tight ends to make the roster is for the Raiders, those are gonna be the guys. They make it through. So this offense with the running game, as I mentioned, the offensive line and the weapons to throw to, this offense could be a combination of modern NFL pass heavy, and I think it could also be smash mouth football. I think this offense could find success and just as many explosive plays running the ball as throwing the ball. And this is just I think it has the potential to be a real, just well balanced offense.
I was on a national show recently, and they asked me how I would describe it, and I said attack. And the host said, "No, no. I mean, do you think it's going to be ground and pound? Is it going?" And I said, "No, you're missing it. They want to go vertical and they want to run, but whatever they're doing, they want to be on the attack. It's going to be very physical. It's going to be a old school style, meaning physicality, with a attack down the field and run the football mentality. I'm excited about this offense. I think it's going to be really good. All right, lastly, don't want to give away any secrets, but Thursday, you have an article coming setting the record straight on the Raiders quarterback room. Give us a brief synopsis without revealing any because it's going to be fantastic.
Brief synopsis. Here we go. Aiden O'Connell in his
No,
rookie
wait, you're a
season.
talker. You're a talker. Chuck Grenier told me this that you're a talker, so I'm going to time you. Go. I'm going to see what brief
Okay.
means.
Okay. So this is going to be brief. Aiden O'Connell in his rookie season, when you take in the situation, the stats, the context, the subtext, and you compare it to a quarterback many believe might be one of the three best quarterbacks in the league right now, that quarterback's rookie season makes you raise some eyebrows as to maybe where Aiden O'Connell is. We're not comparing Aiden O'Connell to this specific quarterback because I would probably lose my job if I said Aiden O'Connell was this quarterback. Uh, but we're saying just pump the brakes on, give Aiden O'Connell some respect. Maybe he's on better footing than the national media wants to give him. The other thing on that article, Gardner Minshew, we compare him. I don't want to give any hints away, but we compare him to someone he is connected with pretty well throughout just the NFL and situationally. So, and once again, and this guy is considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league as well, especially on the come up. Maybe there's not that much of a difference between the two after all in terms of how they perform. So that's what the article is. It's going to set the record straight on each Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew's potential value. And we're not comparing them to these quarterbacks, but we're just saying look at the numbers. Actually, look at the numbers. Forget the pedigree of the round they're drafted, and forget any stigma you might have about what a quarterback looks like, what anything looks like. That's what we're saying.
It's the longest brief synopsis I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And you're just so looking forward to us adding another person on the staff so you're not constantly getting ripped, aren't you? But the good thing is,
No.
with me constantly teasing you, you're becoming a fan favorite.
Oh, well, I guess. I don't it's like being
Hi,
almost
Grandma.
infamous in a way.
That's good too. All right, buddy. Listen, great work. Tell everybody where to find you on social media.
You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, Michael France Simachael like the country SI.
All right, Michael France SI. There you go, everybody. Remember, find me on X at Hondo SR excuse me, on IG at Hondo SR, on X when you go to at Hondo Carpenter and read everything Michael and I have to write and say. When you go to si.com/NFL/Raiders. We'll see you tomorrow.